Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen, where we discuss business, culture, leadership, and the mindset it takes to build a business and life you're proud of. My name is Josh. Let's get into it and let's get shit done. Everybody, welcome back. We are continuing this conversational journey of bottlenecks, breakdowns, blind spots, and pitfalls. And in the first conversation, we went through, what we got through here? We got through pitfalls. We started with pitfalls. We got through the financial, the cultural, the operations, and then we started in blind spots, and we ended the last podcast with financial blind spots. So we're going to start this one in culture blind spots. And the team mirrors your tolerance, not your intentions. Okay. So when I talk about leadership, one of the things I talk about probably most is emotional discipline and consistency. And the reason that I talk about those is you set the standard of behavior that everyone will exemplify. So it has nothing to do with what you want. It has everything to do with what they see. And I think that this is what creates the huge cultural blind spots from a leadership perspective, is they think that they're behaving one way and they're behaving another. So the reflection that they see in the behavior and performance of their team is confusing to them. Because so that's that distortion. The hardest person to look at is ourselves. And we're like, well, I don't do that. I follow all the steps, Greg. I debrief perfectly after every call. I always do the things.
According to your own reflection?
According to my own reflection. And then when I see, or a leader sees people in their team not following through, it's like, wait a minute, where's the breakdown? We're like, well, this is what you tell us, but what you do is completely different. And so one of the blind spots here is that employees or team members are afraid to bring problems forward. Right. And I think the biggest problem that they have difficulty bringing forward is you, the leader, is when you're not performing, is when you're not setting the expectation, when you're not following through, when you're not setting the standard. That's a problem. And most employees don't trust their leader enough to have that conversation. And that blind spot turns into some serious breakdowns and pitfalls.
Do you think it's always trust?
What do you mean? What else do you think it would be?
I mean, it might tie into it, but fear. I mean, I don't want to say that I feared my bosses when I worked for them, but it was, I was afraid to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
Well, I have a theory, or maybe it's just an opinion, but I think it is part of the indoctrination of authoritative figures, teachers, parents.
Yeah.
Everyone has an authoritative figure. And I know me growing up, it was, if you disagreed or tried to have a conversation or voice your opinion, you were talking back, and
right.
You don't talk back.
No, so, you're probably right. I mean,
right.
I would look at them as the same. I looked at them just like my teachers, the stern teachers. So yeah, you're probably right.
I think the other thing that creates, and this is something that always, I'm going to say sadly surprises me about human behavior, is people will spend decades of their life in a job that they hate, working for people they don't respect, alongside people they can't trust. And they'll do that for 20, 30 years because they're afraid. The one is the fear of the unknown is greater than the fear of the known. The pain of the unknown is greater than the pain of the known. And they're just stuck in this hamster wheel of thinking that you're not allowed to challenge the authority. You're not allowed to challenge the status quo. Your opinion doesn't matter. And so they just lather, rinse, repeat this really poor existence in this thing. And it saddens me, because I think people have a lot more potential than what they give effort for, because of some of these limiting beliefs or some of these programmings that we were given through some of our indoctrination and teachings coming up. Again, probably more of an opinion than a theory, but
well, I mean, it sounds pretty on point to me, based on my experience.
Well, that's where my theory comes from, right? Is experience. And I can tell you that in my personal growth journey, one of the most uncomfortable pieces of growth that I really had to come to terms with was challenging isn't the right word, but intelligently questioning the authority. Because
like you said, we from the beginning, we're not trained to do that.
Yeah. Your opinion doesn't matter.
Nope. It is the way it is, and that's the way it is. Like, and that's how we ended up here as tradespeople, and the problems that we have because we just keep following the pattern of what we were told, or mirroring what is, I don't know what to say, irrelevant, like not relevant anymore. So we're kind of like stuck in the past.
Yeah, very much so. And I think this is one of the biggest reasons for the generational gap in learning the trades is, I mean, I think exposure is probably the biggest reason, but I think the other biggest reason is, if you think about the generation of our parents, the baby boomers, they were really the last, of the kind of industrial revolution programming. Like you just worked, exactly. You just worked hard till you retired or died.
Right.
And you didn't question it. You didn't push back. There was no corporate.
You worked hard and you provided. Hard and you provided.
That's it. And so with the number of baby boomers still in, and you have two other generations, was it Gen Zs or X's or whatever, millennials, and now this new upcoming generation, like we've got 4 working generations in the workforce right now. And the experience and understanding of how to communicate across those 4 generations is so drastically different.
And broken.
Significantly broken. And so I think that it feeds and fuels the frustration on all parties. So again, I know I'm rabbit holing this here, but
no. It's all relative though, and it comes down to, again, leading a team in communication, because the old way of communication, I mean, kind of how I was raised, was just go to work and get it done. Just do your job. Don't ask questions, just do your job. But it's not like that anymore.
It's not.
It's not.
And the faster that people accept that, the faster they can adapt to the way of getting better.
But the only way to get better is to fail, to fall, right? You learn from your mistakes. But again, not to go into a rabbit hole of the generations, but the newer generation is in fear of making mistakes. That's why they ask a million questions, and they're crippled by their own thoughts because they're afraid to make mistakes. I see it with all tradespeople. They just ask questions that they know the answers to, but they want you to tell them how to do it. So when they make a mistake, they can just say, well, you told me how to do it. You told me that was the way to do it. They told me that's the way you wanted it done. Instead of just doing it, messing it up and being like, well, did you learn something? Yeah. Not to do it that way. Cool. Moving on.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things that I think it creates, especially with disengagement, is people quit quietly.
Okay.
You get somebody in your company and you hire them. They are excited.
Mm-hmm.
They're making
Typically.
because they're making a very big life choice. And they're banking on the fact that this opportunity that they are taking is going to be able to provide for them in the future.
And it's this big, exciting new beginning.
Usually after a couple weeks or a month, we stop treating it as such. And we fall into the
Called the honeymoon phase
pattern. Yes. We get out of that honeymoon phase. And then if you fast forward 2, 3, I don't think it takes 10 years anymore. I think it takes 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have that disengagement with the team and you don't have the, share the vision and read KPIs and train and invest in helping them fulfill their goals so the company can fulfill its goals, they're going to quit on you before they ever leave. I think they just quit in silence.
You mean quit and stick around?
Quit and stick around.
Yeah. And I'd rather you just come in my office and quit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I call that checked out. You're here, but you're checked out. You've already quit. And you're just dragging your feet, bitching and complaining about the company because you don't want to be there anymore, but yet you're still here.
Mm-hmm. And so I would like to take that even a step further back and go, before we ever get there, I would rather you be able to walk into my office and go, it was really exciting when I started here and you sold me a bag of dreams and we've done none of it in the 2 years I've been here. And I'd like to have a conversation of how we can fix that.
Yeah, but Josh, that would take a set of balls.
It would. It really would. But that goes back to questioning the authority.
Right. And I invite it. I tell anybody that I interview, like, my door's always open. You've got something to say to me. You got something to ask. Come on in. I'm a human. I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you. Let me know what's going on. And they never do. And then it's, they come in, hey, can we talk? And they shut the door. And I'm like, go ahead.
When are you quitting?
How much? Yeah. You here for 2 weeks? What do you got? Let me know.
Now I have to be honest. I have had a lot of the opposite conversations.
Well, you have.
I have. I as a leader, I have had people challenge me as a leader, come into my office and be honest with me. And it's always my highest performers. It's always people, that do, they know it's not malicious or intentional, but they also know, like, hey, like, I'm supposed to do this thing or get this thing, or we're going to be, where are we at? And I also know, like, there's an act of patience, right? Nothing ever happens as fast as they want it to, or you want it to. Never. But I've had those conversations and I have never yet to this day left that conversation a worse person or a worse leader ever. And I think it takes a tremendous amount of humility, because I will tell you, my ego is always the fastest to the conversation. It's always,
you have to slam the door in his face.
Yes, he's always guarding the door. He's always there. It's like, yeah, we should talk about this. It's like, hold on, pump the brakes here. Let's talk about this. And like a lot of things, the more you do it, the better you get.
Yeah.
And again, not that, ego is always there, will always be there, because I think most business owners should believe the fact that they have the best company and they provide the best opportunity and that they're going the best places. I think you should think that. So when someone starts to challenge your methods, you're like, whoa, but I know best, right? So, but I just wanted to share the fact that I've had those conversations with leaders within, my companies, where they have the balls to sit down and go, hey, this is what's going on, or this is something that you said. And like, everyone's wondering, damn, you're right. You're so right. You're so right. It's frustrating. So I think that to me, the best cure for blind spots is healthy communication.
Without a question. Without a question. But I mean, how many companies in the trades would you say that there's even the invitation to a healthy conversation?
24, and we work with all of them. I mean, seriously.
I'll be honest. I've never, outside of 2 companies, have seen any sort of like open conversation to like, let's fix anything.
Mm-hmm.
Let's communicate. Let's over communicate. So it's
Again,
something to think about. If you're listening, like,
and this is absolutely a new practice that people are going to have to create within their organizations. This is not something that was handed down to me generation after generation.
It was like you said earlier, it was taught the opposite. You don't challenge, you don't discuss, you go to work and you do your job. Pissed off or not. You just shut up and do it. Which I mean, again, it's nice because that was a productive method. But was it? At the end of the day, was it? Because that person goes home miserable and takes it out on their family and whatever the case may be. But no, I think that there should absolutely be. I mean, any relationship there should be open communication. It's the key to the success of the relationship. That
full stop.
Starts with you, right? Like full stop. Starts with you and your spouse and your family, your friends, not just your boss. You can't be closed door at home and then go to work and be like, oh, I'm going to have these great, open, meaningful conversations with my boss. Like the wonderful statement of how you do anything is how you do everything. Practice it at home. And all this stuff takes practice and discipline, right? Like there's no magic pill you take one morning, you wake up and you're like, I'm going to communicate forever, perfectly.
Yeah, you don't listen to one podcast and immediately you have all the answers.
No. Nope.
And that's what I enjoy about, conversations like this and things that we discuss in coaching, or when I get the opportunity to meet and talk to people that are far better than me, which is often. But I have to remind myself that like my journey alone is I'm in my 15th year. 15 years. Nobody goes to school to learn anything for 15 years. I'm in my 15th year, hundreds of books, thousands or tens of thousands of hours of podcasts, TED Talks, and YouTube. So tens of thousands of hours of consumption and tens of thousands of hours of incorrect application to understand the result.
Trial and error, you mean?
Yes. The amount of mistakes versus wins is probably 100 to 1.
Easily.
And I think I'm being nice to myself, but the reason I share that with people, it's like, I know when I listen to a podcast or read a book, the information coming from that individual is so fluid, it sounds simple and easy.
Right. And like you just said, it's not, nobody just reads it or absorbs it once and just applies it tomorrow perfectly. It's like anything else. It takes repetition. It takes practice. It takes being aware of the situation, first being aware and understanding what's happening, and then slowly correcting it, because you're going to slip up. You're going to go back to your old ways, habits, methods, and you got to be able to catch it and build on it. It takes practice. It takes work. Anything.
I think the best example I could give to people for an overnight change in my life was when I read the book QBQ by John G. Miller. It takes like 90 minutes to read it, but it wasn't a slap in the face, Greg. It was a sledgehammer again and again and again, right to my forehead. And I remember getting done with that book, and I actually, over like the next month, probably, I reached out to people from my past and apologized for my behaviors. Like, because it was just like, oh my God. But for me and the person I was in that time in my life, that was the perfect book for me. It was the perfect mirror, but it taught me to understand accountability. I mean, that book significantly changed my life and the behavior of me. But that's the best example I could give for an overnight change was just, that book. Well, that's a 1 in a million.
Well, I mean those are the punch in the face or the rude awakenings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not something you're like, oh, I should do that or I really should change. That's something you're like, I'm changing right now. This is
Like, wow,
ridiculous.
I'm such a bag of dicks. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And that's different for everybody, right?
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. All right, operational blind spots, workflow. I like this one: workflow friction or constraints that limits the field teams daily. So this is something that back to the communication aspect of it, but it's like, what is it that your team is dealing with daily that is a constraint? It's a blind spot, and the blind spot is no one's paying attention to it. They're just doing it because this is the way that we've always done it, right? And then when somebody finally removes that cover, and it's like, why do we do it like this? I don't know. This is what you said to do, and this is the way that we've always done it, and all that nonsense. And you look at it, and you're like, this is massively inefficient. Well, yeah, but we didn't. Yeah, we did. This is just what we've always done. Again, back to that. One of the things that we're implementing in the HVAC company is, and you or I are not involved in this because it's a daily action thing. But every Friday morning, so there's 2 meetings that our company has now: Tuesday mornings for 30 minutes and Friday mornings for 30 minutes. That's it. And the Friday morning is an agenda to talk about updates on sales. Okay, where are we at with these jobs? Are the jobs sold, pending, or lost? If it's pending, what status of pending is it? Are we waiting on financing, or are we waiting for them to get back to us? Okay, so we got the sales aspect of it. What are some of the things that we're seeing in the company? What's coming up in the next few weeks? Oh, spring's close. Okay, well, what do we need to be focusing on? What do we need to be talking to our customers about? And then what is it that we can improve on? It's one of the questions on the agenda. What can we improve on?
And you ask that every week.
And it can be anything. It can literally be anything. It can be, hey, can we get the dumpster emptied twice a week instead of once? Yeah, why? Well, because every time it gets full, we put the overflow in the extra garage bin or the extra storage and wait for them to empty it. And then we empty that so it stays full. That's an operational blind spot. And the amount of time that we're wasting moving garbage around
Could be solved by, can we get an extra dumpster pickup?
Exactly. So being open to those conversations will help you identify operational blind spots. Dispatch or communication gaps among the team that leadership doesn't experience. So this is a high level blind spot. This is where silos come from, right? So when you have dispatch or service coordinator or sales, and then you have the implementation team, and you have communication breakdowns, and you don't know it, you're just digging out from underneath that foundation in your company, right? Because the team isn't working together as a team. But high level, when you're looking at nothing but profit reports, and you don't have your finger on the pulse of the culture, this blind spot is going to cause a lot of turnover and a lot of lost revenue and profit. But it's super easy to not know this is going on because you have to spend time with your team to know anything about this. And having a good leader in the company, again, even if it's not you, but having a good leader in the company is someone that has a really good barometer of culture. If you don't have a really good barometer of culture and a good intuition of people, you are going to struggle as a leader in the people department. Now, I think there's definitely skills that you can learn on that. But when you look at the operational blind spot of people that sell the work to people that do the work, it's the largest communication gap in every company.
1000%.
And it's the best bridge that you can build in that company too, to close that gap, to get those two working together. I'm never surprised anymore, but I remember when I used to be surprised that the companies that I worked at or coaching companies I would see, the people that do the work hate the people that sell the work. And the people that sell the work always complain about the people that do the work.
Yep.
And it was literally like you had two separate companies working under this one entity as subcontractors that didn't communicate with one another.
And that's exactly what it was, because they bid it and they hand it off and then they complain about each other.
Yeah.
And then move on to the next one. Imagine if those two had a weekly meeting and just asked that one question.
Well, being a bit of a grab the bull by the horn type of leader in my young days, this problem started to develop in our company. And I was lucky enough, again, that I had people that were willing to share with me, share blind spots with me. Because again, what I was doing every day, this was something I wasn't going to see. Right. All I was doing was trying to manage the result. Well, how come you guys didn't get done in time? Well, we had to make an extra fitting. We had to get more material. Now we're trying to fix the problem after the fact. But I was lucky enough to have people communicate that with me. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to solve this right now. And how most people would solve it, Greg, is they would go to the salesperson and go, hey, you need to get more information to the installers. You need to, I need you to make a list of stuff that you sell so the guys doing the work knows what's happening. That's how most people would do it if they decided to solve this problem. Instead, I reverse engineered it from the end, and I went to the guys doing the work and was like, hey, would you make me a list of all the information that you want to know about what you're doing on a job? And they were like, yeah. I said, great. Whatever you want to know, just make me a list. And they did. They got together and they made me a list of these are all the things that we would like to know walking into a job. And I was like, okay, great. I understand that. Okay, this one, how come you want to know that? They would explain to me. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. That makes perfect sense.
And again, that goes back to the why on your end, right? Don't just give me a list, help me understand why and how this benefits the company. And by me taking the extra time to give you that information, not just I don't know why these guys want this information. I guess I'll just put it on the sheet.
Right. That's right. So I took that, I made it efficient. So I created a system out of it. And then I sat down with the sales team. It was like, hey, when we sell a job, I don't care if you do this when you're in the quoting stage or the estimate stage, when you sell a job, fill out this information. Literally back then it was just fill in the blank, circle, write numbers in, whatever, just fill this out. This is going to allow the install team to understand what they need to do to get the job done. And even the sales guy was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. But now I had a system to manage instead of trying to manage two different departments.
Mm-hmm.
So when the system breakdown happened, oh, okay, help me understand why we chose not to fill this out this time. So now I'm managing the system.
Funny how that works.
I wish everyone did understand overnight how much easier that is.
To manage a system instead of a person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to digress on this a little bit, when you look at managing a system, it's literally only one of two problems. It's behavioral or systemic. Either the system is broken or the person has a problem.
They won't do it, or they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Or there's some breakdown.
There's some breakdown. Yeah. It doesn't
Yep.
have to be a negative behavioral, right? It doesn't have to be a negative behavior. They just may not understand the system. So that's a training issue. That's not a person.
You mean you can't just create the system and hand it off and say, figure this out?
You can. But these are how you solve operational blind spots and mitigate operational blind spots is, again, by having high-level conversations with the people in the weeds for 30 minutes. Hey, guys. Hey, over the last week, what are some of the things that we encountered that you don't want to encounter again? What's something that happened that you think we can fix? What's something that we're doing that doesn't make sense to you or makes the job harder? Like, just simple questions like that. And my favorite is always like, oh, no, like, no, nothing. Everything's good. No, we love it. And I'm like, so wait a minute. You're telling me that I've done such a miraculous job of creating you the best job and the best boss that you've ever had, that you have no complaints. There's no constraints. There's no, everybody always laughs. And I'm like, exactly, guys. I'm not an idiot. Like, I need you to honestly tell me. If I'm the problem, tell me. If you need something and we don't have it, tell me. And then they will start to open up. Man, is it possible to stock this particular thing because we're using more and more of it? It's like, you want us to stock 100 PVC fittings instead of 10? Okay. Anything else? It's always amazing to me of how simple the problems are to solve that nobody wants to talk about.
I've done this. Like, I've had these conversations with the team, like, look, and it's always, I don't want to say the dumbest stuff, but it is like somebody else will be like, I have a problem. And I'm like, okay, like, here we go. And they're like, can I buy new windshield wipers for the van? And I'm like, yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Like, yes. That's okay. I can use the company card. Yeah. Yep. Oh, okay, cool. I'll do that. But the way they go into it, I'm like, oh no, they're gonna like rip me apart. And it's just dumb stuff like that. And it's like, hey, where do we get our oil changes? These are the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they get into like, they'll ask some good technical questions, and some is doable, some's not. But I don't just say yes and no. I explain. But it's funny to see like what they'll come up with.
It's also
most of it's so solvable.
And they'll continue to tolerate it, right? They'll continue to operate day after day with this thorn in their side. That's so
because they feel like they're right, because it's so small. But like, why not just pull the thorn out?
Mm-hmm.
Fixed. Oh, and then they're like amazed that it got fixed. Like, oh, that's it. Yep.
Yeah.
Check.
Hey, if you're
anything else,
if you're getting washers, pick up a gallon of washer fluid while you're at it. Yeah. But if you don't create time and space for those conversations, this is the shit that people complain about.
And it builds, and then it becomes they bicker with each other about these things, and it just you turn a molehill into a mountain.
And I try to explain to our teams, say, look, I may not be able to give it to you immediately, but at least let me know that you want something.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not going to go, buy a $5,000 ProPress kit to put on another truck overnight, but it's a goal, right? We're not going to. So it's like, yeah, just tell me what is going to make us better. If we can do it, we will. If it's going to take a little while, I'll let you know. But if I don't know that this is going to help, then I'm literally blind to what is holding us back as a company, or more importantly, what's holding you back in your position. Well, I can't perform like this. What do you need? again, it's always something small. It's always something small. Our guys, and I think this is a kind of a fun example. Our guys came to me one day, our project manager, and he goes, "Hey, I've been thinking, can we get pack outs for the install truck?" And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "What are you looking for? What are you thinking?" He said, "Well, I was paying attention to how many times we have to get stuff out of the truck." And he said, if we had a pack out that I could just roll into the house with me and the guy outside could just roll it to the outdoor unit and we had everything in there, he's like, man, it'd save us a lot of time. I'm like, well, let's get online. Let's see what's available, And so we built a list for pack outs, and literally $400 later, Greg, $400 later, we had all their concerns were solved. Their problems were solved. They were like, this is amazing.
Of time that was probably saved.
Oh my God. Yeah. But again, it's like, it's little stuff like that. It's rarely, a $10,000 solution.
Right. Rarely. At least well, depends sometimes. But again, those are more wishes and dreams, right? Like let's work to get there. Yes, I agree. We should have one of those, but my guys wanted a tugger, like $10,000 wire puller, and I'm like, we use it once a year. The ROI on that's not going to work. But if we get more work like that, and you want to do more work like that, then yeah, maybe it becomes there's a point where we can. And we did. We ended up getting one.
Nice.
But it's nice to have the open discussion about and anything's possible. That's my point.
Yeah. The last part on operational blind spot, and again, this is one, they call it task overload. I call it performance punishment. Everybody here is, if you have a team, you have somebody in your company, if you're lucky enough, you have somebody in your company that will do whatever needs done. They'll do whatever it takes to get it done, and they'll do it whenever you want it done. Right? They are the whatever it takes kind of people.
Yep.
What you have to be careful of is that you don't overload that individual with tasks because it's easy. Well, I'll just give this to Greg because I don't want to hear Josh complain about it for 20 minutes. Or, man, if Josh goes and does it, we'll probably have to go back tomorrow and finish it. So I'll just send. It's like, you have to be very conscious of that. And it's crazy how performance excellence turns into performance punishment. And then your top performer leaves and you have no idea why. And
been there.
And what they're doing is when they go home at night, because they're suffering from performance punishment, they say things like, they've got me doing two guys' jobs and they don't pay me any more money for it. Right? Like, I have to go back and fix everybody else's fuck ups. That's one of my favorites. And they do all of this stuff, and the punishment sets in when there's no recognition and no reward. I can promise you, they will continue to fucking kill themselves for you if they're celebrated and if they're rewarded. And if you acknowledge it and go, Greg, I just want you to know this is short term.
And that's good for the whole team, right? Because then other people start to see the reward. And they're like, well, why does he get it? And be like, well, when you perform like him, you can have it too.
If I have two guys doing a job or one guy doing the same job, instead of paying two guys $30 an hour, I could pay this guy $45 an hour and everybody wins.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't. We just like, well, this is the job and you're doing your job and this is what the job pays. Bitch, I can go get another job. You know, I got
Yep.
guys offering me easier jobs for more money. That the job is not why I'm here. So that's a terrible blind spot, and I have suffered from that in the past.
So have I.
I think it's easy to do for people that are, so forward driving, right? Because we're always looking ahead instead of looking around.
Correct. And we're moving so fast, moving ahead, everything on the sides is a blur.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you got to stop and do a head count, check your team, make sure everybody's good to go, take a break.
Before it's too late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, close up shop on a Friday afternoon, cook everybody some burgers and throw some bags and then let them go home at the end of the day. It's like you just got to do that stuff occasionally. And again, the recognition, reward in public, reprimand in private. Especially if you have a team meeting, just be like, hey, something I got to say to everybody before I start this. I just want to acknowledge the fact that Greg has continued to step up for the last month after month and continues to get shit done. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate it. Like, it takes 20 seconds.
So,
so, but definitely guilty of that blind spot, because I just, as a manager, we want everybody to perform like us, and leadership can't expect recognition. Leaders give all of the credit and take all of the blame. You don't go into a leadership role wanting to be the hero and expecting to be called the hero. That's not what leadership is about. It's about elevating everybody else. So you don't get the applauses.
Most people are looking for the applause from the outside world, when the applause should really be coming from your team inside, from that standpoint of, like, thank you for giving me the credit, like, because I deserve the credit, right? Like, I'm the one that did the work. So I deserve the credit. And I appreciate that you acknowledge that and you don't tell the world that it's you.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. All right. Let's jump into bottlenecks.
Okay.
So we've talked about pitfalls. We've talked about blind spots. Now we're going to discuss bottlenecks. Financial bottlenecks. Here's an example. Work completed today, but cash arrives 45 days later. Financial bottleneck, right? Work performed versus AR, or I should say, work completed or collected. I mean, so slow invoicing and collections, owner controlling all of the purchases is something I know that we've discussed too, and Greg's all-time favorite, lack of real-time financial reporting.
Well, I mean, that's the most important, because that is the bottleneck to the bottlenecks, right? If you're not paying attention to the numbers and reading the gauges, well, how do you know where anything and everything is?
So let's talk a little bit. I want to unpack that one, right? Lack of real-time financial reporting. Let's walk through the amount of things that need to happen in a row to get real-time financial reporting.
Ooh,
big breath in.
It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot, and it doesn't take much to mess it up. And that's where a lot of people miss, because they're like, oh, I'm accounting. Everybody accounts for the big stuff and the easy stuff, but it's all the little stuff that stacks. And the real time, like, you can't wait to put in slips till the end of next month and look at a report today and be like, it's accurate, because it's not. Everything's got to be entered real time. It's got to be categorized, accounted for real time. You can't, I mean, sure, if it's just you and you want to wait and do it once a week, sure, but you can't pull a report on Monday and then enter everything in Friday and ignore the fact that you spent a whole bunch of money during the week, unless you're doing it week over week and you can predict that to say, okay, if I know what it's going to look like now, I'm not going to enter anything until Friday, but next Monday's report will reflect what I did on Friday. But it's knowing your numbers. It's knowing how much you're spending, what it costs you to operate, when the bills are due, when your accounts receivable is due, and are you keeping up on that? And billing right away. All of that stuff is and those are the gauges you have to be watching. This is the amount of work I did today. We billed out for all of that work, or we didn't bill out for this portion of work because it's incomplete. We're going back in 2 days to finish it, and then we can bill out. But you should know all that, and not off the top of your head. You should be able to pull an actual report and get that information. But that requires you to have every ounce of information in and categorized properly, which is a lot of work. I understand. But without that, you're flying blind. It's like flying with broken gauges. Yeah, they're all there. I can see them. I know how to read them, but they're all wrong. That's how most people operate.
Why do you think most business owners steer away from this type of work within their company, or being honest or intentional about these things?
2 reasons. 1, it sucks. And 2, it's not their skill. It's not their craft. Just they procrastinate. They don't want to do it, which means you shouldn't be doing it. I mean, why do you want to do something you hate doing? And I get it, you have to do it. But this goes full circle back to get out there and make more money with your time because it's worth more, and hire somebody to do this stuff. And if you can't trust somebody to do that because you can't let go, you're already doomed. If you want to grow and expand and not have to do everything, if you're content with that and you want to be a one-man show and do it all forever, that's fine. But you have to put some trust in some people, and you have to be okay with people making mistakes to get your time back. But again, you can come up with all the excuses you want. You can delay it, procrastinate. If that information is not in there real time, there's no way you can pull an accurate report. There's no way you can steer the ship perfectly. It's impossible. And most people just do it blind off cash flow. They look at what's in their account, and then they're reactive. They're like, oh crap, the account's getting low. I gotta get some invoices out this week. I'm gonna do them all on Friday. You've already lost 5 days. You're already 5 days behind. Especially if there's a lead time on you getting paid. Via 30, 60, 90, whatever, payment terms are. Smaller jobs, again, residential or small, they should be paying you on the spot. Cash is king. And your business needs cash flow to survive. This is the biggest hurdle I see businesses trying to overcome, is the cash flow race. And it's always, it's a rat race. It's a game of robbing Peter to pay Paul endlessly. And it's stressful, but it's always from a reactive state. Because you don't have the right data in the reports. You can't read the gauges correctly, which means you can't predict what's going to happen in the future. You can guess. I can guess too. But you can't look at the reports and accurately say, well, okay, here's the trend. Here's what it looks like over the next 30, 60, 90 days. Here's our cash flow projection if everybody pays the way they're supposed to. And if they don't, here's the contingency plan. There's just no way. It's just like game of get more work, do more work, hope we get money. It's a crap recipe.
Yeah. One of the behaviors that I always find interesting is business owners will spend money based on what's in their AR.
Oh yeah, that's dangerous. I did it when I first started. I'm a hypocrite right here. Like,
so did I.
I got money coming. I can go buy
I
this. It'll
can
be
do
fine.
this. That's right.
And then it never shows up on time.
The
And then what?
universe is like, oh, let's try this instead. Terrible behavior.
Yeah, it is. That's no different than being an employee working a W-2 and spending your paycheck before you get it.
Mm-hmm.
The odds are better because you're pretty much guaranteed to get your paycheck, but you're not guaranteed to get paid in business. So, yeah, that's to answer the question. It's one of two things: people hate doing it, or they don't know how to do it, or it's not. Again, it's not their skill. It's not what they want to be doing.
Yeah, that's right. I know that,
and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just understanding that is okay. You don't have to be good at finances and data entry. What you have to do is be a responsible business owner and find somebody that does or cares or wants to, because they're going to do it better than you. So hire them. Take a chance, go out and spend your time making more money in the craft that you're doing, because 100% of the time that is a better recipe.
It's always interesting to me too. I can think of two legitimate examples of this. Everybody else that I've ever talked to, this is a terrible example. But for some reason, a spouse or significant other or family member becomes the default to handling the finances of your business.
Yep.
And I understand where they're coming from, because they want to help. The girlfriend wants to help. The mother-in-law wants to help. Whoever it is, they're like, oh, I can do your books for you and save you some money. It's like,
what I think the root of that is, most of the root is the trust factor. I trust my wife. I trust my mother. I trust my cousin. I trust my friend. Hiring somebody, training them, and hoping that they don't rip you off or screw something up, that trust factor is just, it's hard. But again, it comes down to valuing people's time too. Like if your mother's retired and wants something to do and her background is finances or bookkeeping or data entry, sure, why not? Give her something to do if you can tolerate working with her. But outside of that, like where the wife just falls into it because she's a stay-at-home mom, and then, well, I kind of want to do something, so I'm just going to do bookkeeping. That usually doesn't work out. And we've talked about this, and this actually pisses me off the most out of all of this, because you're not truly valuing your spouse's time.
That's it.
Just like you don't value your own. It's just my time. It's just my wife's time. We made 10 grand this week, but I didn't pay my wife and I didn't pay myself accordingly, but that's our money just because we spent our time on it. Like, no. That person, your wife, should be getting a paycheck, and it should be relative to if she went to work for somebody else doing that position at that level, she should get paid to do that. And you should get paid to do what you do. That'll quickly tell you how much time or what it's worth to have somebody in that position. When you start paying that person, you're like, well, this is costing me a fortune, and you're not doing it the way it should be done. Well, then, guess what? I'm sorry, it's your wife. Time to find a new employee.
Or you're going to end up finding a new wife because because the husband-wife boss-employee lines get really blurred.
Wicked blurred. So it's a slippery slope, and it comes down to really just valuing time. There's a value to everybody's time. And if you're somebody who's sitting here listening to this saying, I can't afford to hire that person, then I can already tell you need to straighten out your books, understanding your cost, understanding how to bid a job properly and make a margin, and do that at a volume that sustains your business. before anything.
Well, I think
because there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to afford that person.
Yeah, I think that's the question behind the question, right? The question is, or ultimately a statement is, I can't afford this person.
You can't not afford this person.
Well, the question behind that is, well, how do I know if and when I can afford this person? And that goes back to what you just said. It's like, you've got to know how to price, how to understand markup and margin and job costing, and get that volume so you can onboard that position, whether it's third party or not.
And this is something I do now with starting different companies. And I didn't do this when I first started my business. And if I did, I would quickly be deterred or delayed on starting the business. And that is actually building the business on paper, putting the numbers together as if it existed, but it doesn't, and play it out. Understanding like, okay, here's all my expenses and what they will be, not today, but where I'm trying to go, whether that's $1 million a year, $10 million a year. You have to start to look at what that plan looks like from year 1 to year 10. In year 1, I'm going to need a building. I'm going to need 2 vans. I'm going to need this equipment. I'm going to need this employee. I'm going to need an admin. I'm going to need this software. What is that going to cost me? Oh my God, it's going to cost me 10 grand a month. I don't make 10 grand a month. Ta-da! Don't start a business. The numbers tell you right there before you even left the gate. Until you have enough volume and enough side work or people feeding you work or enough leads to bid, don't start your business. Wait until you get a pool and be like, okay, I'm ready to do this. Will you hire me if I make this leap? Have these conversations. And then make the leap. And then make sure you keep that pipeline full, because that is where it starts. Most people just go into it and they're like, yeah, I've got some work and I'll build it. I'll turn it into more. And the expenses outweigh the profit before you even get started. And then it becomes this hamster wheel. Then you get desperate for the work and you start doing the work cheaper, and round that wheel goes. And it's a violent, dangerous wheel, and it sucks. And I watch people get sucked into it all the time. Everybody gets all excited about starting their own company. I can do this. Of course you can. If you have the workflow and you're profiting what you're supposed to be profiting based on where you going, not where you are.
I think that is an excellent example of a financial bottleneck also, is appropriate sales and appropriate profit.
And you got to know those numbers.
That's right.
Profit includes all of the things, your pay, the future pay of the admin. If you're doing the work, pretend that you have the admin and you're paying them because you're doing it. You're playing admin. So you're working 40 hours a week and you're doing 20 hours of admin. Pretend you're paying that admin. Put that in your overhead. That'll tell you what you need to make. And if you can't make that, don't cut your numbers and be like, well, I just won't put the admin in, because then you'll never get the admin. You'll get stuck in that position of, I can't afford to get the admin. No kidding, because you're not charging enough to afford the admin. You're not bidding enough work to afford the admin. You have to pretend that those things are there. I wish I did this in business when I first started. It's an absolute game changer and an eye-opener. You have to pay for all your expenses as if you were a real company. Pay yourself as if you are an employee of your own company, which you are. Then make a profit. And that profit is not to go buy boats and four-wheelers and new trucks. It is to grow the company. It is to hire the admin that you just claimed you couldn't afford. Those are my favorite people. Just put in a pool in the backyard and a hot tub and got a new truck. I can't afford to hire this guy. I'm like, you're right, because you bought a hot tub and a pool.
Yeah.
Here they are. They're sitting in your backyard.
Well, I think people define pay yourself first however they want, right? Like, They're like, oh, I got to pay myself first. I'm like, hold on. Paying yourself first and blowing a bunch of money on shit that you want with no sustainability, it's two different things.
That's no different than having a child, having a ration of food and saying, well, I can't take care of this child unless I eat, so I'm going to eat it all and hope that they survive. I'm just going to eat today and they can eat tomorrow. Oh, there isn't enough of them to eat tomorrow. I'm just going to eat today, maybe tomorrow. Eventually, that child is going to die. You have to feed the child.
And
the child is your business.
And then something goes good and you're like, oh, I have a little bit of money. So you go out to eat that night and you celebrate and you buy the food and you buy the drinks and you buy the thing and you still starve the baby. It's a great analogy. I like that.
It's real. So the whole pay yourself first, like I struggle with that one. I do. It costs what it costs to run a business and grow. You don't like when people don't pay you. So why is it okay to not pay other people on time? The bills are due when the bills are due. The expenses are, it's part of running a business. Yeah, it's not easy. Yes, there's a lot of expenses. Yes, there's a lot of red tape. Charge accordingly. Find the right clients. Bid the right work. And bid the right work properly. There's no such thing as a high bid. There's a calculated bid. And then there's the low bids. My bids are never high. I hate when people tell me my bids are high. They're never high. They're calculated. They're correct. Everybody else is lower than me. And I can kick and scream and say, oh, they're doing it at my cost. How are they doing it? It doesn't matter how they're doing it. They've presented the number. They're getting the job. Other than finding them and punching them in the throat for bidding too low, I don't know what else. There's nothing you can do. You keep bidding. And hopefully you come across the job where that rat doesn't show up to the party. Or my suggestion to the world is, why don't you go have lunch with that rat and see if you can help them understand that you're not calculating your numbers right. Here's my bid. I'll give you my secret sauce. Here is how I bid. You can use that against me and make no money. Go ahead. You're already freaking doing it. Mm-hmm. But at least make some money, dude. Undercut me, win the job, and make some money.
Yeah, undercut me by 5%, not 25%.
Right.
Yeah, 5%. So we can negotiate and overcome that, but
we're cave people that think we have a secret sauce. We don't. There's no secret sauce.
No, the sauce is ignorance. And
the sauce is ignorance.
They don't know what it costs to run their business, so they don't know how much they should be charging.
And then everybody puts up the wall, right? That's too proud to admit that they're wrong, and they want to get defensive about it. Because I've called people out in a nice way, and they're like, "Well, your overhead's just too high." I'm like, "Well, what's your overhead?" It's $65 an hour. I'm like, that sounds like a pretty even number. Have you calculated it? I know what it is. You have no fucking idea.
That's right. Yeah.
So
it's good. I like this. This is good. So we got through financial bottlenecks. In part 3, we'll start with culture and operations, and we will we'll look at concluding with breakdowns, or maybe this will be a 4-part conversation. But as I stated in part 1 of this, I feel like this is some of the most important information that we've been able to lay out for people that have businesses or thinking about starting businesses. Because I really think that these 4 pieces here, the breakdowns, bottlenecks, blind spots, and pitfalls, I really think by uncovering this information, it's going to help people develop a really healthy roadmap, and also help people know what they don't know.
And that I think should be a huge takeaway from this. If you're somebody who's just started a business or thinking about starting a business, or know somebody who's starting or thinking about starting a business, you should do some of this stuff. And this is not a sales pitch. I really believe you should join the boot camp for the little that it will cost and what it will save you in the first week of business is worth it. It'll set you so far ahead of your competition, it's not even fun. Invest in yourself before you invest in your business. There you go. There's the line.
There it is. All right. That's a great place to land this plane. So
land it.
All right. So guys, thanks for spending this time with us in part 2 of breakdowns, bottlenecks, blind spots, and pitfalls. We'll be having part 3, potentially part 4. Until next time, get shit done. Be proud to be a tradesman. See ya.
See ya.